can look at your spirituality through an analogy that goes something like this. Here is a hypothesis for you to consider. Let's say there are people that live in New York City and the life cycles are very short. An expectancy would be 1 year for a lifespan. Some people will live, very, very few people will live beyond that lifespan. And the only reason people don't live beyond that lifespan is because these people are born at the very end of winter. So they go through all of the 3 seasons, and when winter comes back around again and it starts to get cold, and the very first time it snows, well, the very first time the weather drops beneath 20 degrees, and the first time that there's a blizzard, everything dies. It is an extinction level event. It would be analogous to a polar shift on our world. Nothing will survive a polar shift except the very advanced life forms that have been around and can withstand that polar shift, or the beings that survive will be the ones that know how to navigate throughout the polar shift. And the analogy goes like this. Okay, there are people that are going to freeze to death, period, when the weather drops till their lifespan is over. But then there are people that don't freeze to death because someone taught them where to go that's warm on the planet, so they don't have to deal with the cold. And the people that are here in the cold, they're taught how to dress, what to wear, and how to protect themselves from that element or the elements of the harsh weather of winter. So these people survive, and they survive long enough to tell the newcomers that are born right after winter, well, in order for you to survive the upcoming tides of the season, you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. You could either go to Miami, you can go to Africa, or you could go to California where the weather is warm and you won't have to deal with it. Or you need to put on this coat and these gloves, scarf, and mittens and hat, and then you will survive the harsh weather. But the people laugh. The people say, oh, I don't need that. I don't need to go anywhere. What do you mean Miami? What's Miami? What's LA? How the hell would I get there? They don't know anything about traveling to these places, and they think that these places are a myth. So that's not an option for them. Then when these people, they'll see a coat and put it on. Hey, it feels good, but they don't want to put it on, and they don't want to maintain having the coat or the gloves or the scarf, and they don't see a need for it because the weather is still nice. So the glove and the scarves and the hat, they're like, we don't need it. So they never really get it. They try it on one time, it feels good, but then they walk away from it, but they never buy it because they don't see the need to have it. So they don't maintain keeping it. Do you see where I'm going? Same thing is with enlightenment. Enlightenment stays with you. It's something that you practice and you live in and day out. So when that day comes, your enlightenment will allow you to turn on your light ship and leave, turn on your Merkaba and leave and go to another place, or to turn on your immortal switch and deal with the polar shifts or the extinction level events. There are beings that have survived those events, and they are the ones that give the teachings of how to survive it. But we think it's a mythology, and we are taught by other entities, beings, that it's not a real thing. But the earth has been around long enough, and it is true that the polar shifts will happen and we will not survive it. And that is the analogy.